Hi, Todd Lutnager here today with Mark Ryan, Managing Partner of EZ8A. And today I'm going to go with Mark Ryan and kind of go through the 8A Mentor Protege program. He has probably put together more 8A Protege agreements than probably anyone in the business. So tell us a little bit about what makes the 8A Mentor Protege agreement so special.
So the Mentor Protege program is the only way for an 8A firm to get into a business relationship, a joint venture, with a large federal contractor and get to use the 8A certification. If you don't have a Mentor Protege program in place, then you're not allowed to joint venture with a firm that's large and take advantage of your 8A. So it's that one unique tool to take a truly large, gifted, experienced federal contractor and match them up with that smaller 8A firm and be able to have that commitment to bring that learning and education and, most importantly, knowledge-based referrals, contacts into that smaller firm.
What type of dollar value do you typically see one of these partnerships have roll through it?
You know, it's a tough question to answer because it really is all over the board. I have clients that are Mentor Protege relationships with the largest federal contractors you can think of, the big boys, billions a year in revenue, and they do extraordinarily well through the program. That's not the norm, but if you can do it, it's fantastic. It's much more common to see the mentor firm be a much smaller, 20 to 100 million, 150 million. Those are the firms that are able to be hands-on enough with you that they care about you and they're willing to put the effort and the trainings in and the relationships in to really grow that mentor firm. When you get into the big boys, I've seen huge success there, but it's never with the ownership. The ownership's just too high up. But if you're going to a real big federal contractor, a Lockheed, Boeing, Mantech, Hackey, whatever, if you can get some lower level manager, 5 rungs deep to care about you and, get the ownership to buy in to do that Mentor Protege, it can be terrific. Normally, though, I'm suggesting to clients to be targeting those more mid-sized federal contractors, that $50 to $100 million firm. That's typically a better fit for an 8A, for a mentor-protege relationship.
And is there any drawbacks revenue-wise for it being lifetime of the program, or does that not affect the 8A?
Yeah, so there's a couple things to take into consideration. One is an 8A firm does have a cap on its total 8A revenue, $164 million. That's generally not a problem, and it's a good problem if you hit it. The other two things, though, is that the Mentor Protege is limited to only 2 mentors in the life of your small firm,
so
of your 8A firm.
Okay.
So getting into a relationship with a mentor that's not a good fit is really bad because you've lost one of your 2 opportunities.
Sure.
So I've certainly seen that happen, and I hate to say I see it happen more often than I like, and it's generally when a younger 8A firm gets into a Mentor Protege with a large federal contractor that's too large, $300-400 million. They don't get that right middle management to care about them, and they just get ignored. So they're in it 2 or 3 years later, didn't get any value out of it, but they've lost one of their 2 opportunities. Now, there is an exception where you can ask for a waiver of that and get a third one, but it's much better to just never get into that scenario in the first place. Additionally, you are limited to 6 years. When you initially get approved for a Mentor Protege, you get 3 years. Then you can renew that, get a second 3 years, but that's it. You still want to be prepared to go into that right away and not be losing a year or 2 while you get to meet each other and learn your compatibilities and capabilities. So finding a mentor that is ready to go and take advantage of all 6 years is another important thing to be evaluated.
So is there a time when you're in the program, would you recommend someone do it in their first year in the 8A program, or would you wait till they're in the 3rd year to try to take advantage of their higher sales revenue figures between 6 and year 9 in the program?
There's a lot that goes into answering that. Your capabilities as a young 8A firm is certainly one. The desirability, from the mentor side, a lot of times, they want a firm that can get them access to 8A, but they also need a firm that can perform their 40% of the contract. So you have to have the capacity and capability financially, capability, employee-wise, to actually perform on your part of the contract. I've had clients get into a Mentor Protege just a month or 2 after getting certified.
Sure.
So, I've seen it. That's not normal, but to do that, you really need to be already there. You already need to have the employees. You need to have the financial capacity. If you're doing $200,000 a year in revenue, you're not getting into a mentor protege in your first 6 months of being 8A. If you're already at that $500,000 level where you could show that you're bringing something to the relationship, that's something the SBA will approve even that early. The second thing to think about is you only get 2, and they're 6 years each if you do it right, and that's 12 years. You're only certified for 9 years. So, the obvious answer to that, the sooner the better.
Is there a particular industry that you see more of than others in terms of the joint venture mentor protege?
Yeah, I do. I see a lot more professional services than other things, so I'm talking IT, engineering, cybersecurity, management consulting. So those would be kind of your big areas. But I've seen it in construction. There really isn't any place where I'd say it doesn't work or it's not a good fit.
Sure.
I just see more professional services than other areas.
That makes sense. If you could go over and tell us maybe the timeline for how long it takes to get a mentor protege put together and submitted to the SBA and having them approve it.
Sure. The application itself's pretty straightforward. So as long as the two companies are being responsive, we can usually get an application together in 2 or 3 weeks. The SBA takes about 2 months to approve it. And I've seen it 6 weeks, 3 months, but you're in that time frame for the SBA to approve it. There's a second step, though, before you can start contracting, and that's that you have to get a joint venture in place between the two firms. That joint venture typically wants to be an approved joint venture so they can go after sole source awards. That process is another week or so to put together that submission, and about a month for that local SBA office to approve it. So those joint ventures are approved locally, so it varies a lot. If you're in a district like Louisville, Kentucky, I had one done there in 3 days once. Typically that's, you get into these smaller regional offices and they can be real responsive. But if you're in a larger DC office, expect that to be more like a month to 6 week process to have that joint venture approved.
One last question. So in terms of critical success factors for 8A, how would you rank getting involved in a mentor protege with a mentor?
Todd, it really is probably the single most successful tool that I see my clients have. By that I mean my clients that are able to get into mentor-protege relationships are almost always my top clients. If I looked at my largest or most successful 10% of my clients, a lot of them will be mentor-protege. Where if you look at the bottom 90%, very few or none of them would be. It's a great tool to be able to take advantage of the experience and the contacts of a larger experienced federal contractor and share those with a young novice contractor 8A firm really is the perfect synergy. And that I see be a real key to my client's success.
There you have it, some of the tricks of the trade for the 8A Joint Venture Mentor Protege program. Hopefully this video helps you out, and click the subscribe button if you like content like this.